I helped my girlfriend through med school. Then she dumped me for being just a mechanic and ran off with a rich doctor. You're not on my level anymore, she said. So I built my own and let her regret it every step of the way. You ever get that moment where your entire world flips, like you're in some slow-motion movie scene, and everything you thought you knew just shatters? Yeah, that was me, sitting across from my girlfriend of 7 years, watching her lips move as she told me she couldn't be with me anymore because I'm just a mechanic. No cheating, no fight, no warning. Just those 6 words, just a mechanic, and a look in her eyes like I was something she scraped off her designer shoes. And what makes it worse? I was the guy who helped put her through med school. Her name's Olivia. We met at this local coffee shop near the community college she was attending back then. I was 24, working full-time as a mechanic at my uncle's garage, saving up to open my own shop someday. She was 21, studying pre-med and struggling to keep her head above water with tuition, rent, and those nightmare-sized textbooks. She came in every morning before her biology class. I'd be there grabbing coffee before my shift. It started simple, just small talk over the coffee line. Then one day, she forgot her wallet, and I paid for her. After that, we kind of became a thing. I'm not gonna lie, she was way out of my league. Smart, beautiful, driven. I was greasy-handed and smelled like motor oil most days. But she liked how grounded I was. Said I made her feel safe. Real. I didn't overthink it. I just fell hard. When her financial aid got messed up and she couldn't pay rent for the month, I covered it. One time became two. Two became every month. Eventually, she moved in with me. At first, I didn't care. I was proud to support her. I saw her studying late, stressed out, crying over her future. I wanted to help. I told myself, one day, she's going to make it as a doctor, and we'll both live good because we believed in each other when nobody else did. I picked up night shifts, did side jobs, even sold the motorcycle I'd been fixing up just to help pay for her MCAT prep course. I didn't complain, but you know how you can be too busy to notice the cracks? Fast forward to last month. She finally finished her residency. All those sleepless nights, all the pressure, it was over. She was officially a doctor. We went out to celebrate, just the two of us. I took her to the same little restaurant where I first told her I loved her. She barely touched her food. She was quiet, off. Then she looked me in the eye, and I'll never forget the way her voice sounded, flat, like she'd rehearsed it. I think we should break up. I blinked. Wait, what? She didn't flinch, just stared down at her wine glass like it had answers. I've changed. I've grown a lot these past few years, and I just don't think we're in the same place anymore. My stomach dropped. What are you talking about? We've been together for 7 years. I've been there through all of it. That's when she said it. I can't see a future with someone who's just a mechanic. She said it like that, like it was dirty, like it was a weakness. I sat there, stunned. I wanted to believe I misheard, that it came out wrong. But no, she meant it. This wasn't about love anymore. This was about status, about image. She'd become a doctor, and suddenly I wasn't shiny enough to stand beside her anymore. Never mind the fact I literally paid for parts of her education, or that I gave up nights, weekends, vacations. Hell, I even skipped my cousin's wedding to work overtime so we wouldn't fall behind on her rent. I didn't yell. I didn't beg. I just sat there, nodded slowly, and said, okay. She looked surprised. I think she expected a scene. But I wasn't going to give her that. Nah. I had a different plan forming in the back of my mind. One that didn't need words. One that was going to sting way more than anything I could say at that table. You see, I'm just a mechanic. But I know how to build things from the ground up. And now, I was about to rebuild myself, without her. The next morning, she packed her things. Said it was for the best. Left the apartment like it was just some chapter she'd outgrown. And I stood there, staring at the empty space where her bookshelf used to be. I didn't know it then, but that silence? That was the sound of her making the worst mistake of her life. And me? I was just getting started. After Olivia left, the apartment felt too quiet. You never really notice how much noise a person brings into your life until they're gone. I'd come home from work, toss my keys in the bowl like always, and half expect to hear her in the kitchen or see her curled up on the couch with her laptop. But nope, just silence and the faint scent of her shampoo still clinging to the pillow she forgot to take. I didn't cry. Not then. I just stood there and let the realization settle. 7 years gone. Because my job didn't sound impressive enough in her little post-med school fantasy life. But here's the part she forgot. This wasn't just some casual thing for me. I gave up everything for her. Dreams, time, money. I didn't even apply for the business loan I was prepping for because she needed me to cover another semester. I pushed my own life to the side because I believed in her future. I thought our future was tied to that. And the worst part? I think she always knew she'd leave me. It started small. Subtle shifts. Like how she used to proudly introduce me to her classmates back in med school. This is my boyfriend. He's amazing with cars. She used to brag about how I could fix anything. But near the end, it turned into he works in auto repair. Like it was some embarrassing little footnote. I noticed the change, but I chalked it up to stress. She was always exhausted, and I kept telling myself, once she's done with residency, things you'll get better. Yeah, big mistake. What she didn't realize was that I remembered everything. Every story she told me, every schedule she kept, every password she ever used on my laptop when hers was down. I wasn't planning to snoop, but after she left, there was this gut feeling, like something wasn't adding up. So, a week after she walked out, I checked our shared cloud drive. We used it for bills, receipts, tax stuff. She forgot to unlink it. And that's when I saw a folder labeled Weekend Conference, Boston. Weird, because she never mentioned that to me, and it was dated 3 months before our breakup. Inside, photos, dozens of them. Olivia with some guy, same dude in every picture. Hotel lobby, dinner, drinks. One shot of them on a rooftop bar, arms around each other like they were anything but colleagues. I didn't even know his name yet, but I knew exactly what I was looking at. She hadn't just outgrown me. She'd replaced me. And man, the rage that bubbled up wasn't loud or explosive. It was quiet. Cold. Like someone flipped a switch. This wasn't heartbreak anymore. This was war. I dug a little deeper. Searched the guy's name from a screenshot of his ID badge in one of the pics. Dr. Brendan R. something. Worked at her hospital. Divorced. 2 kids. One of those private school, country club types with $1,000 watch and a smirk that made you want to punch him. He was everything I wasn't. Which, I guess, was the whole point for her. Turns out, they'd been seeing each other for at least 5 months. It wasn't just a one-time slip. Nah, she'd been dating him while still sleeping in my bed, eating the food I paid for, and letting me rub her shoulders after a long shift. I never confronted her. I didn't text, didn't call. What was the point? She made her choice. All I could do now was make sure it was the worst decision she ever made. So, I sat down and opened my notebook. The one I'd stuffed in a drawer years ago, the one with plans for my own auto shop. Designs, branding ideas, startup budget, location scouting. I reopened all of it. Because if I was going to be just a mechanic, then damn it, I was going to be the best one she ever heard of. I spent the next few weeks calling in favors, researching suppliers, making deals. I cashed out a savings bond my grandfather left me and signed a lease on a small but solid space across town. Every day after work, I'd head there with a toolbox and a dream. Painted the walls myself. Set up the lifts. Ordered new signage. I worked quietly. No big announcements, no flashy posts. Just hustle. What Olivia didn't understand was this. I wasn't just fixing engines. I was rebuilding everything she broke. And while she was off living her shiny, hospital soap opera life with Dr. McDreamy, I was laying the foundation for something real. Something mine. I didn't need her apology. I didn't need closure. I needed one thing. Results. Because soon, she was going to see my name again. But not in her phone. She was going to see it on a sign, on a billboard, on the front page of every local business feature. And when she did, she'd finally understand who she left behind. You ever wake up one day and realize you've been underestimating yourself for years? I always thought I was a guy with calloused hands and engine grease under my nails. You know, blue collar, work hard and don't complain type. That's what I was raised to be. Fix problems. Solve what's broken. Put your head down and grind. But the second Olivia walked out that door, and the second I saw those photos of her with that smug doctor, I stopped grinding for someone else's dream. And I started building mine. And I'll tell you right now, success tastes a whole lot better when it's flavored with revenge. The garage opened 6 months after she left. It wasn't fancy. Small lot. Concrete walls. Used lifts. But it was mine. Grant's Custom Auto. I had a clean logo, a friend who knew a guy in web design, and a whole bunch of contacts from my years working in every shady and not-so-shady garage around town. The first 2 weeks? Dead. Barely a car in sight. I was running oil change promos just to get people in the door. posted flyers, called up old customers from my last shop, and offered half-off first-time work. Then I did one thing that changed everything. I restored a 1969 Mustang. My uncle had it sitting in his barn for years, collecting dust. I offered to bring it back to life, for free, if he let me use the photos and post the process online. He agreed. Every night, I stayed after hours working on that car, buffed every inch, replaced every hose, wire, and panel, dropped in a custom exhaust, rebuilt the engine from scratch, shot the whole thing step by step, and posted it on TikTok and Instagram with time-lapse edits. And one post blew up. Not like a little, oh hey 10,000 likes kind of blow up. I'm talking hundreds of thousands of views, shares, comments, people asking where I was located, car guys geeking out, even randoms saying, I don't even like cars, but this is beautiful work. 2 days later, I had more bookings than I could handle. Within 3 months, I was booked out for 6 weeks straight. A local business blogger interviewed me, called me a rising star in the custom car world. They snapped a picture of me leaning on the Mustang, arms folded, shop in the background. Clean, professional, confident. And the best part? Olivia saw it. I know, because 2 hours after it was posted, she viewed my Instagram story. First time she'd looked at anything of mine in months. I laughed, out loud, just stood there in the shop office, phone in my hand, laughing like a maniac. Because now I knew exactly how this must have looked to her. See, in her mind, I was supposed to stay small, stay quiet, stay safe. She thought I'd keep changing oil and doing brake pads until I turned 50 and maybe retired with a little pension and a beer belly. But now, I had people driving 2-3 hours to drop their cars off at my shop. I was no longer just a mechanic. I was a brand. Then it got even better. Turns out, Dr. Brendan, her fancy new guy, he was under review at his hospital. Something about inappropriate relationships with junior staff. It wasn't public news yet, but I had a friend whose sister worked in the admin office, and let's just say, gossip travels fast in hospital hallways. Apparently, he had a pattern. Olivia wasn't his first. Might not even be his favorite. I didn't care enough to dig, but I remember sitting back in my office chair thinking, damn. She really gave up 7 years of loyalty and support for a man who probably forgets her name when she leaves the room. And then it happened. She texted me. Just a short message. No, hey. No, how are you? Just. I saw the article. The shop looks amazing. I'm happy for you. I stared at that message for a solid minute. Not angry. Not bitter. Just detached. Because the truth is, when someone shows you what they really think of you, you can't unsee it. I thought about replying. I really did. Maybe some savage line, something clean like, thanks, I did it without your tuition bill hanging around my neck. But I didn't. I just left it on read. Because silence? That was the loudest thing I could give her. She wanted me to feel small, unworthy, beneath her. Instead, I rose. Quietly, steadily, on my own terms. And now, my name was on the wall, and she had to drive past it every time she came into town. I didn't plan to see her again. Not in person, at least. After that one text, I figured we'd both go back to our corners. She'd stay in her polished, clinical world. I'd keep building mine with engines and wrenches and the sweet sound of horsepower in the morning. But life's got a messed up sense of humor sometimes. It started with her friend. You ever meet someone and instantly think, yep, you're the type to stir the pot for fun? That was Vanessa, Olivia's ride-or-die back in the med school days. Never liked me. Always gave me that half-fake smile like I'd just tracked dirt into her white carpet. So when Vanessa showed up at my shop one random Thursday afternoon, heels clicking on concrete like she owned the place, my first thought was, this ain't about her car. She walked in, sunglasses still on, and said, you really made this place work, huh? I nodded, wiped my hands on a rag. You here for a tune-up or a tour? She laughed like we were friends. Actually, Liv wanted me to come by. She's been talking about you. I just stared at her. She made a mistake, Vanessa said, dropping the act for a second. She knows it. Brendan's a mess. That article? Turns out it wasn't just gossip. HR got involved. He's on probation. I didn't say a word. I just leaned on the counter, waiting to see where this was going. She's not asking for anything. She just thought maybe you two could talk. She misses you. I wanted to laugh. To ask Vanessa if she even remembered how Olivia dumped me like I was a phase she outgrew. Like I was an embarrassing part of her undergrad years that didn't fit her doctor fantasy. But I didn't. I just said, tell her I wish her well. Vanessa blinked. That's it. That's it. And she left, heels clicking just as loud on the way out. That should have been the end of it. But a few days later, Olivia came in herself. Not a call. Not a text. She just showed up. Middle of the afternoon, I'm under a '76 Camaro replacing the rear suspension, and I hear her voice, soft, unsure, familiar in a way I hadn't heard in almost a year. Hey. I slid out from under the car, and there she was. Same eyes, same posture, but different energy, like someone who'd been slapped in the face by real life and didn't know how to handle it. She looked around. This place is wow. It's amazing. I didn't say anything. She took a step closer. I don't know where to start. I set my wrench down slowly, stood up, and met her eyes. She started talking. Fast. Nervous. Told me about how things with Brendan fell apart. How he turned out to be manipulative and distant. How she realized she had confused ambition with character. How she thought she was supposed to level up after med school, but now she wasn't sure what that even meant. I didn't leave because I stopped loving you, she said. I left because I thought love wasn't enough. I was wrong. I listened. Really, I did. But there was something weirdly peaceful about it. I wasn't angry anymore. Not bitter. Just done. I let her talk. Get it all out. And when she finished, I said, you know what the worst part was? It wasn't the breakup. It wasn't even finding out about him. It was realizing that somewhere along the way, you stopped respecting me. Like I became this temporary placeholder while you waited for someone who wore a tie. Her eyes dropped. I never needed you to stay out of guilt, Olivia. I needed you to believe in me the same way I believed in you. Silence. Then I picked up my wrench again. I'm not the guy you left behind anymore. She nodded slowly. I can see that. And then, with a soft, I'm sorry, she turned and walked out of the shop. I watched her go. No cinematic music. No dramatic pause. Just the door shutting behind her and the sound of a car starting outside. And that was it. She came back. And I let her leave. Because you know what I realized in that moment? Closure isn't about getting someone to admit they were wrong. It's about knowing you were right to walk away. Or in my case, let them walk out and never chase. You ever sit in silence and realize you don't miss them anymore? Not even a little? Not the late night talks. Not the scent they left on your pillow. Not even the way they said your name. That hit me one night when I was locking up the shop. It had been a long day. Classic '98 Wrangler rebuild. A custom paint job. A kid brought in his beat-up Civic that he'd been saving for months to upgrade. I stayed late helping him because I remembered being that kid. I remembered saving every dollar just to make something mine. Anyway, I was sitting in my office with the lights off, sipping a cold soda, scrolling through emails. And it just hit me, this was it. I wasn't chasing anything anymore. I'd arrived, and I had zero interest in ever looking back. That night, I posted a pic on Instagram. Just a photo of the shop at sunset. Nothing dramatic. Caption said, built this from the ground up. No shortcuts. No regrets. 30 minutes later, guess who watched my story? Yep, Olivia. No message this time. Just viewed it and dipped. But the next morning, that's when the real full circle moment came. I got an email from a local car expo. Big deal. They'd seen my Mustang rebuild and wanted me to do a live showcase at the event. I'm talking hundreds of car fans, gearheads, sponsors, media. I was hyped. Even more so when I saw the list of co-sponsors. One of them? A hospital. Her hospital. I couldn't make this up if I tried. Turns out, they were co-sponsoring the event as part of a health and wellness in the community push. It was about engaging locals through lifestyle activities. Fancy way of saying, we want our name attached to cool stuff. So yeah, there was a chance Olivia would be there. I didn't care. I'd already moved on. And not just in my head. Her name's Tessa. Met her when she brought in her dog-worn Subaru for a brake job. She was a vet tech. Smart. Down to earth. Didn't flinch when I offered her a shop rag instead of a napkin. We talked. Laughed. Got lunch. One thing turned into another. She came to the expo with me. Held my hand while I gave my little talk on classic car preservation and custom builds. Cheered when I started my rebuilt Mustang for the crowd. Took videos. Proud, genuine smile. And guess who I saw across the lot? Olivia, standing near one of the booths, wearing a corporate badge and a branded polo. Her hair was pulled back. She looked smaller somehow. Not physically, just like the shine had worn off. We locked eyes for half a second. She gave me a tiny smile. I nodded. That was it. No drama. No sudden rush of emotions. No swelling music in the background. Just two people who once shared a life, standing in two very different versions of the future. Later, one of her coworkers came by my booth, asked for a business card, said Olivia used to talk about me all the time during residency, that she was always impressed with my work ethic, that I was the hardest working guy she'd ever met. I just smiled. Funny how people remember you once you're standing in the light. Tessa nudged me later. Was that your ex? I nodded. Yeah. She looked sad. She made her choices. And that was that. The show was a success. Got a ton of new business, landed 2 corporate vehicle contracts, and my inbox was flooded with partnership offers. But more than any of that, I went home with someone who saw me not as just a mechanic, but as a builder, a creator, someone worth believing in. That's what Olivia never understood. And now, she gets to watch the life she could have had from the passenger seat of someone else's mistake. It's funny how everything changes when you stop chasing the wrong things. A year ago, I was picking up extra shifts, patching together rent, sacrificing sleep, and every dream I had so someone else could build hers. And now, I open the garage every morning with the kind of peace that used to feel like a fantasy. No stress, no weight in my chest, no second guessing if I'm good enough. Because I know now, I always was. I just gave it to the wrong person. The shop's running better than ever. I hired 2 guys to help me out. One's fresh out of trade school. The other used to sweep floors for us when he was a teen. I pay them fair. Train them well. Show them the ropes like someone once did for me. Business is booked months out. I've got a wait list for custom builds, sponsors offering tools in exchange for promotion, and some influencer trying to get me on a podcast to talk about turning wrenches into gold. I don't know about all that. I'm still just a mechanic. But now, I'm a free one. Tessa and I, we're solid. She doesn't need grand gestures. She brings me sandwiches when I skip lunch and leaves notes in my glove box like we're in high school again. When I come home tired, she doesn't ask me to talk. She just sits with me, rubs my back, and lets the silence be enough. She never once looked down on what I do. In fact, she brags about it. That guy? He built an empire from lug nuts and late nights. We laugh, but she means it. And that's what matters. The other day, I drove past Olivia. I didn't even realize it was her at first. I was heading out to deliver a rebuilt 72 Chevelle to a client across town, and I saw her standing on the corner, looking down at her phone. Same coat, same bag, but her face looked tired. For a moment, I thought about honking. Not to rub it in, just out of instinct. But I didn't. I drove past. Because that part of my life, it's in the rear view now. She made a choice, and I let her make it. No begging, no revenge plot, no angry texts. I just rebuilt myself piece by piece, like I would any good machine, stronger, faster, cleaner. And yeah, there was pain. But pain's like rust. It creeps in slow, spreads if you don't deal with it. But if you grind it out and coat the surface right, it never comes back. Sometimes people ask if I'd ever take her back. My answer? I don't fix people anymore. I fix cars. I fix my future. And most of all, I fix myself. So if you're listening to this, wondering if walking away from someone who didn't see your worth is the right move, let me be proof that it is. You're not too small. You're not just anything. You're more than what they failed to see. And one day, they'll look at your name in lights, or on a billboard, or on the side of a shop, and realize they didn't just lose you. They lost the whole damn ride.